Welcome to this week's episode of Cooking with Connie. We are doing another shape-approved recipe. So it is going to be a Philly cheesesteak soup today. And I think you're going to love it. It's really delicious. So what we're going to start with, so when you're doing the shape program, we eliminate sugars, we eliminate oil. So sometimes it's like, okay, what do I do when it calls for oil? So here's what you do. You use broth. So I'm going to use some beef broth to saute my vegetables in to soften them before we start the soup. So you don't need a whole lot. Usually about a quarter of a cup is going to be enough of it. So I'm going to put that in the bottom of my pan. And then the veggies that I'm using today, I've got 1.5 of my colored peppers. I've got 1/2 of an onion, and then about 4 ounces of baby bella mushrooms that I've got chopped up. And we're going to cook those over a medium heat here until they get soft. And then we will start adding some of the rest of the ingredients for the soup. So that's just a nice thing about knowing that if it calls for sauteing it in oil, just use a little bit of broth and you'll get the same results and you'll still stay shape compliant without adding the oil to the recipe. So we'll be back shortly when we get to the next stage of this recipe and tell you what to do next. All right, guys, so we have got these where they're sauteed, they're nice and soft. I've also added just a scoop of minced garlic to it because I just like garlic and everything. I've got thinly chopped beef here that we're going to add to the mix here, and then we'll saute that, cook it up. So if we cook all this beforehand, then it's really not a big deal of how long you cook it afterwards. It's really a matter of just getting everything hot. So put that in there. Get everything cooked up. Then we'll start adding our other ingredients, like the broths and the cheeses and stuff that is going to go in this recipe. But it's already starting to smell really good with the peppers and the onions and the garlic. So we'll keep cooking and we'll be back shortly. All right, guys, so we're back. We've got our beef browned nice and well. I put a teaspoon of black pepper in here, so you kind of do that to seasoning. You can add some salt. I don't like to add salt because there's plenty of sodium in the beef broth, so I usually don't add salt. I figure if it's not salty enough, you can do that when you go to eat it, because everybody's kind of got different tastes with that. So we're going to put 3 cups of our beef broth in here. And remember, when you're looking at the beef broth, you want to make sure that there's no sugar added to it, okay? Because you'd be surprised, they put sugar in absolutely everything. So this brand, although sometimes it does have sugar in it, so I always look at it every single time to make sure that I do not have anything added to that. If you're having to watch the sodium, you can get salt-free, you can get low sodium, so there's a lot of different options whenever you're doing the beef broth, depending on what your restrictions might be. So I've added that beef broth in there. Then what I'm going to do, I have whipped up a little bit of cottage cheese, 1/4 of a cup of cottage cheese. And I whipped it just so that it would melt a little bit, so you can kind of see I just put that in a NutriBullet, so that it wouldn't be chunky when it ends up in the pot. But with the heat, it should incorporate really nicely. And then we're going to be using 2 cups of our Greek yogurt. And I know that's what I have left because I made this on Sunday, and so I have 2 cups left in my container. So it worked out well. So this is going to start giving us the creaminess, and then the other things that we're going to add a little bit later on are some Manchego cheese and goat cheese. So again, I took a regular recipe and I just kind of thought, now what can I put in there as substitutions that are shape compliant that will still give me kind of the same consistency and flavor profile. And this is how I come up with a lot of the recipes that you see on this that are shape compliant. I just kind of start from a traditional recipe and then just modify it to fit what we need. All right, so we've got those in there. We're going to kind of keep cooking this. I am also going to add, because we all struggle to get our veggies in, so I'm going to add some rice cauliflower to this mixture too. And I think you can throw rice cauliflower into about any soup just to get more veggies in it. And it doesn't really change the flavor of what you're doing, but it just kind of adds that nutritive value of having the vegetables in the thing. So we're going to keep heating this up, and then we'll add the rest of our cheeses and we'll let it simmer until we get to the point that we're ready to have some lunch. So it'll be a little bit for this, and we'll come back and kind of show you the next steps when we get to those. Okay guys, we're back, and this is simmering really nicely. We've added 2 teaspoons of apple cider vinegar to this. We've thrown in some parsley flakes, and then a teaspoon of everything spicy to give it a little bit more flavor. And what I've done is I've taken a little bit of the broth, and I've taken 2 teaspoons of the arrowroot and kind of mixed that together. I like to do that rather than putting the arrowroot directly in it, because when you put the arrowroot directly in it, a lot of times you'll get lumps. So this will give you a much smoother. Arrowroot is used to kind of thicken the soup up a little bit. So what we're going to do is just continue cooking this on a low, letting it thicken up. We're going to put the cheese in, so we're going to use 4 ounces of goat cheese and 4 ounces of Manchego cheese. Get that all melted, and then this will be ready to serve. And it is going to be another delicious way that you can make up a pot of this on the weekend and have lunches ready for the week. So a good way to meal prep. And we'll be back when we're ready to serve this baby up. All right, guys, lunch is served. Look at this delicious soup. We paired it with a little nut thins, our artisan nut thins. You could do some extra veggies with it if you wanted to do that. So this would be a nice, hearty lunch these cold winter's day. We are in January. Now, I will be doing a little shape tips video soon. And I'll go through some of the things that we use in the products and stuff so that you kind of know some basics on how to be successful with the Shape Reclaim program. So for this week, this is finishing it up with our Philly cheesesteak shape approved soup. Make sure you like and you share and you subscribe so you don't miss out any of our gluten-free, sugar-free recipes, and delicious. So we will see you soon, and remember this week to make some good choices.